Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, folks, Bruce Hutchin, your host of Whitetail Rendezvous. I'm heading out to Pennsylvania, and I'm happy I caught Preston Mullens before he took off for Ontario. He and his crew and the family, they're going to go up walleye fishing, and they're going to just slay walleyes. They're going to have a blast. I'm kind of jealous, actually. But Preston Mullens is a doctor of chiropractic medicine in Pennsylvania. But more so than anything, he's just a crazy DIY hunter. And he's just a joy to have on the show. And we're going to have fun in the next 45 minutes or so. So, Preston, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm glad we got this technology thing figured out. My schedule sort of jumps around a little bit, but it kind of worked in our favor that I'm a night owl and I'm 2 hours ahead of you. So it sort of fell into your schedule a little bit better.
Right. And today, was a huge day. I started at 8 o'clock this morning, and now it's 7:29. So if people think this podcasting stuff is easy, I'm just laughing instead of crying, I think. But anyway, yeah. Let's kick this off. You got a couple of nice bucks behind you, and take your phone and put where that second main beam came off and it snapped off. After you got the trail camera picture of you.
Okay, so
tell us the story.
Another main beam. I think you can see it right here. And this main beam actually crept out to about this far on the front, and he had it on trail cam pictures and lost it. And in the same year that I took, this is a Pennsylvania buck. He's just a solid, nice, just a mainframe 8. And in the same year, 7 days later, I had this guy with 2 double hook brows hard, and he had his brow at 12:30 the day before, and I shot him at 9:30 the next day, and it was gone. So in 7 days, I managed to lose a brow tine and a third inside beam off 2 buck in 7 days. So that was tough. But hey, that's deer hunting, I guess, right? It was rut. They were probably out busting things up, and I guess it cost me. But I have the pictures of them, so it's better than nothing, I guess, right?
Well, yeah. Now, once the solid 8 was in Pennsylvania, where was the crooked brow tine?
Oh, sorry, Ohio. So I hunt very, very heavily. Yeah, so I hunt very heavily. I'm in Pittsburgh. I can get into Ohio depending on where I hunt. Anywhere from an hour and a half to 4 hours from where I live at, I hunt. And since we can't hunt Sundays in Pennsylvania, I'll hunt Ohio until I fill my tag until I come back to PA first. Some of the areas I hunt are a little bit higher quality in Ohio. So I'll put all my time into Ohio until that tag's filled, and then I move back to Pennsylvania. Well, at least the last 2 years I've done that. And this year I have all expectation. I probably won't hunt in PA. I work till late at night, so I don't even have evenings for early season. So I'll spend my weekends in Ohio and hopefully can get a tag off kind of early so that I can get back into Pennsylvania. But just the quality of deer and the time, if I drive out to Ohio Friday night after work, I can hunt for the next 2 days. But if I sit in Pennsylvania, I can't hunt on Sunday, so it's sort of a waste of time. So that's kind of how I approach things. But I got lucky. 3 years in a row, I filled a tag in PA and Ohio within 7 days of each other. So it was kind of cool. I broke that.
Okay, tell me the date. Okay, stop right there. That's an interesting thing. Now tell me the date. Tell me those dates. Yeah.
So you're going to laugh because I actually am always curious how people do this because they'll rip off dates of everything that they film. I can't give you exact dates, but I know time frames.
Okay. Time frames work.
2015, 2015. No, 2000. Yeah, 2015. I know I shot my buck in Pennsylvania first, somewhere around November 6th or 7th, and I know that was a Saturday because I know I can't hunt here Sunday. And then the following Sunday, I shot my buck in Ohio, so that was somewhere around 7 days, 8 days apart. And then 2016, I shot my buck in Ohio the Friday before Halloween weekend. So I don't remember how that fell. And then the Halloween weekend, Saturday, I shot my buck in Pennsylvania because it actually got up in the 80s that day. And I shot him in the morning. It was only about 45 degrees, and it got up into the 80s. And I got him down in a creek bottom about 10 in the morning. So that was only a 7 or 6 day span, I think. No, I actually shot the buck Saturday and then the following Friday. So 6 days. And then the year after that, it would have been November 11th or 12th, and then November 15th. So I don't know why, but I always got hot in little streaks. So it would have been 4 November bucks before the 20th, and then 2 were before Halloween weekend, but right at the end of October. And that was a hot fall. That was 2016. It was a really hot fall. So I was pretty glad to be done with going into the 80-degree weather every day hiking.
Yeah, the non-scientific evidence. I had a guy on earlier, and he hunts from the 25th of October to the 15th of November.
Huh.
He just flats hunts. So basically what you're saying is that we went from November 6th. The earliest was the 27th-ish of October, and then the 30th-ish. So you hit it right, the 26th, 27th, 28th, Halloween. And it was kind of funny. He says, never not sit in your tree stand the evening of Halloween. And I believe that. I've killed.
It's my favorite, absolutely. If I do any trip hunts, that's when I'll pick. I'll pick to be in my stand the day or 2 days before Halloween. That's my favorite. That personally, I don't like getting 2 weeks, 3 weeks into November. Have I had success? For sure. When I think I can control it a little bit better is at the very back end of October, give or take 3-4 days, into the very start of November. That's when I tend to have a lot more luck being able to control the hunt versus, I don't want to say luck, but a little bit more luck, just something moving your way randomly. Things get a little too chaotic for me there, 2-3 weeks in November. Everything's going every direction. So I agree with him. Halloween, if it's Tuesday, I'm not going to be at work.
So let's talk about controlling the hunt during, and it's pre-rut. I'm not going to pick the date, but
pre-rut activity going on.
It's pre-rut activity, and they're seeking and chasing, or chasing and seeking. They're looking. They're out and about, and then it really starts to ramp up, and then things get serious. Once things get serious, I love to hunt funnels. I love to hunt topographical features. I love to hunt places where, one, I know deer are. I'm going to do an all-day sit, doesn't matter, and I'm going to wait them out because I know the deer are here. Now, are they 5 miles away or are they 100 yards away? I don't know.
Correct.
But I know they're on their feet and they're moving. And in Buffalo County, I've hunted a couple of river bottoms that I had a perfect funnel. I see deer all day long, and I just didn't see the deer I wanted to kill.
Yeah.
Period. I had guys say, "Do you know how big that deer was? A big body deer." I said, "Yeah, it was a big deer, but look at his rack." He goes, "Yeah, can't eat the rack." I go, "I didn't want to shoot him. I didn't want to shoot him."
With you there. I agree with you. My green light is just purely instinctive. If I instinctively jerk on first glance for my bow, odds are there's almost no percentage that an arrow isn't leaving my bow. If I don't instinctively jerk for my bow, there's just something in the back of my head, from experience and from doing it, that I've almost already made the decision. Because if I get my hand on my bow, I don't have a wide enough trigger finger to not shoot. So if I instinctively don't go for it, I'll have to fight the urge to grab it off the bow hook, because if it comes into my hand, if it goes into my bow hand, I'm probably going to shoot. So I'm kind of with you. It's either I don't know what the score was or wasn't. I mean, you kind of black out when it's happening. I'm going or I'm not going, and it's basically from first glance. I don't overanalyze. I feel like you can get paralysis by analysis sometimes in deer hunting. I go off 100% instinct, and then if an arrow hits it and I get up to it and it's smaller than I thought, which is pretty much every time, there's not a bone in my body that regrets the decision I made in that split second. And you know how it goes. It might be 15 seconds from when you saw to when you have to shoot. Like, you don't got all day.
No, and like the deer you see over my shoulder, it's the prettiest buck, perfectly framed, 10-point, and just he's a booner buck, except I killed him too young. And I saw him come out. Everything was perfect. I went, he's such a pretty buck. Boom. It was gone. Yeah. It was over. That was it. And I couldn't have been happier. I mean, I couldn't. I walked up to him. Everybody goes, well, I go, well, look at him. He's a gorgeous deer. He's perfect. No deductions. He's like 135, and it's just a perfect buck. I mean, and so I shot him. And I'm like you. If I see him, I'm either going to shoot him or I'm not.
I don't think, as I'm saying it, I'm thinking in my head, I'm talking the last 8 buck I've taken with a bow. I don't remember even having a question or a doubt. Like, the bow was in my hand. I mean, almost immediately until he got into my shooting lane. Like, I never backed off from. And I mean, I'm not killing 160, 70-inch deer, but like, it's all relevant to your area, right? I mean, if 125-inch deer walking by is in the top 10% of any buck you're going to see every year, to you, that's still big, because that's what you're scouting and seeing and looking for. Because
that's what's there.
Yeah, that's what's there. It is. I'm always, the amount of podcasts I've done, and this has come up on probably half of them, and I always tell everybody, like, you have to hunt to your environment. And I have a buddy that runs a podcast here in Pennsylvania too, Trad Geeks podcast, and I've heard them say it over and over, because they're in central Pennsylvania, and they're like, if I get a 3.5 deer or a 120-inch deer, my arrow's leaving a bow 100 times until I take my deathbed. And I've said it here in PA, which is my primary home turf. It is producing bigger deer and it's getting larger deer, but like the tracks and the ability that I have to get on and off property, that's not an equation, because once gun season hits, there's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to turn. If I get on a 3.5 or a 4.5-year-old deer, I'm doing everything I can to put an arrow in that thing before Halloween, because once that nose goes up in the air, he's ending up somewhere with an arrow in him. So it's your environment. You hunt to your environment. You don't hunt to the quality of the deer you think you want to hunt. That's not how it works. You hunt to the quality of the deer in the area that you're hunting. And a trophy is relevant to the person and to the area, I think, personally.
Now, let's talk about Ohio. Ohio is known to have some big bucks in certain areas. I mean, correct. You see pictures and pictures, and I can't think of his name. He killed just a monster buck. He was on the show 2 years ago, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. But just
a lot of big bucks.
Just huge buck. I'm going, oh my goodness. I've only seen in the United States one 200-inch buck, and that was in Buffalo County. I've seen a couple in Saskatchewan. Neither time did I have a shot, but that didn't matter. I saw them. I'm going, oh my goodness. I mean, because they're big. I mean, they're
in
really.
Real life, I've never seen one in real. I would say the top end of I've ever seen in real life with my eyes was tipping 160, and I didn't even know how to react. I mean, I was just, shaking, and I had a shot coming up, and he got on a past him at 32 yards, because I had a 20-yard opening that he was walking, feeding right to, and a doe popped out, and he took off after. But I mean, if you tack 45 inches onto that, I don't know how I would react, or that I even could react. It'd probably be more just gurgling and watching him leave.
So what's it like hunting?
I'll be honest with you.
No, I'm good. What's it like hunting public, or do you hunt public or private land?
Both in both states. This year is going to be a lot more overwhelmingly public in Ohio than private, and PA is going to be a very 50-50, depending on activity I'm seeing in a couple new areas of public that I turkey hunted that I plan on deer hunting. So I'll pull the ripcord on it if I'm not getting into stuff. I don't have that many days in PA, so if I'm not seeing what I like once I get into there, I'll pull the ripcord and kind of fall back to my fail-safes, properties that I'm a little more comfortable with. But I've had a ton of miles put on in public in Ohio. I'll probably be 90% public, 10% private in Ohio. Again, depending on how the season goes, because I've got some late season areas that I can get into some food on some private that'll help me come December, January. If it gets to that, I'm not so stuck on hunting public only that I'll just ride it to the gravestone to the end of January, not seeing anything. I'll back off to where I'm a little bit more comfortable. But primarily it's going to be, and Kentucky's going to be public as well. All public, 100%.
So you're going to hunt Kentucky this year also?
Yeah. Kentucky opens September 1. I'm going to hunt it Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the first 2 weekends of September. And then depending on how the season unfolds, I have 2 elk hunts. I've got a jockey in between.
2 elk hunts out east? Out east or out west?
I have an Idaho elk hunt in archery, and then I have a Colorado elk hunt in rifle.
Where are you going in Colorado? What part?
Northwestern Colorado.
Up by Craig or?
Very close. Yeah, very close to Craig. We actually looked at houses in Craig. Yeah. So we won't be too far from there at all.
No, that's where I live. I don't know if you know I live in Colorado.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's where I live.
So we actually ended up renting. The only place we could find that was big enough was in Steamboat. We're on the western side of Steamboat.
Okay, along the Yampa River.
Yep, and we got about a 45-minute. We got about a 45-minute drive, 50-minute drive to where we're hunting. But as you're aware, there's nothing there. So you're driving. We've been in this area before, and we stayed about an hour away because there's just not homes to rent for 6 guys anywhere. And we were gonna do. We've all got. The hard part is with archery hunting, we all have individual camping tent stuff. We didn't have anything to buy for 6 of us to stay in, and we just said, you know what? The rifle hunt, our favorite thing is when we're all back at the lodge, and I'll be the first to admit to you, I don't think being in the woods makes it any cooler than when I get to sit back with my dad and have a beer, and we're in heat with a shower in beds. That's just as fun to me because you're not festering or struggling because of the elements. You get to do what you're there to do, but actually get back to civilization a little bit as well. Now, when we archery hunt, we're backwoods the duration. We don't come out. But as you're aware, that's archery hunt's a lot different than rifle. A little different.
Yeah, completely
game
different.
Planning.
Yeah,
it's not even in the same realm of each other.
No, it's a completely different deal.
Yeah, they both have their fun, their pluses and minuses. But we make the rifle hunt a lot more fun. Yeah. A little easier to drink beers and have fun when you're in a warm house instead of in a tent freezing.
I've done it both ways, and the older I get, the more I like a sauna or a hot tub.
Oh, hey, I'm only 30. Well, I'm 33 this week, and I don't disagree with you at all. It feels great. It's roughing it is fun to an extent, but you're like, I'd love to just lay down on something, or be in the heat or be in the air conditioner, whatever it is. But I enjoy all of it. But again, like I said, the name of our brand there, DIY, I mean, we run and gun all this stuff ourselves. And I mean, I have an Alaska archery hunt for moose in 2020. We have a rifle hunt in Wyoming next year for bull elk. I'm doing a boar hunt in Florida next spring. It's like we kind of just jingle around and do all of it. Eventually, I'd like to just be at least mediocre at hunting most species, or at least say I did it.
That's funny.
Yeah, just so when someone's talking to you,
well, you just got to keep applying. You have to keep applying for tags, though. As much money as you have, you just got to. That's one of the secrets of hunting out west and sheep and all this other game. You have to keep applying.
Yeah,
and
we're now just hitting full stride. We've got about a 5-year turnover the way our points fall. Where right now, I mean, we just sat down and in theory, and you don't know, life changes, work, family, but like through 2023, 2024, we basically can just roll over our elk hunts with states because we'll have enough points that we need. We can plop Iowa in for whitetail in there. We have mule deer points, and we have it gridded out where, like, if everything goes accordingly, the next 8 years on paper, we're good to go, unless point creep starts coming into effect, which is a whole other topic. But
which it will.
Theoretically, we'll be okay. And, we may take a lesser unit that year, or just go straight public because we don't have enough points, which we're absolutely okay with. I mean,
because Colorado, there's plenty of places you can hunt.
Idaho, there's a ton. Wyoming's changing their laws. I think I just saw you only have to be with a Wyoming resident to hunt all of the what are they called, the wildlife areas, which opens up half the state. So you can find a resident or somebody you know and give them a couple bucks to hoof along with you. I mean, there's plenty over the counter stuff. So I mean, we're not concerned with it because we're not trophy hunters. I mean, we got 3 of us going for our archery elk hunt, and I mean, we're spiraling on Western hunting here instead of whitetail. But we got 3 of us going, and I mean, we're gonna go, and it's guy A's the shooter, guy B's the filmer with a backup bow, and guy C's the caller. And if it's a freaking spike and you passed it, guess what? You're letter A. You're at the back of the bus. You're the letter C now because guy B probably
just make sure he's legal. Just some places, just 4 points are better.
Correct. Well, see, like we generally we're picking units based on statistics, but we're also going into draw units with our bows that spikes are legal because to us Eastern guys, it would take a lot of spike bull elk for me to probably put an arrow in before I get sick of it because it's, if you've ever experienced it, it's like nothing else. And to get one opportunity in a week's hunt, if it's a spike bull, you know, you don't get 5-6 opportunities in a week.
No, you don't.
So,
no.
I mean, if that comes in and you pass, you're back of the line and you're at the end of the rotation. And if there's 3 of you, you're probably not getting up again. So we come in with that expectation and we say, hey, it is what it is.
That's cool. I like that. Just I'm gonna give a shout out to GoHunt.com Insider. And if you're not a member of GoHunt.Insider, Go Hunt Insider, you need to do that because it's got the best Western research. I wrote a lot of the profiles for Colorado, so I wrote a lot for them. So use my promo code WR, and anybody can do this, WR, and use that, and you're going to get the best research that you can possibly get. It has everything that you need to do it. It'll save you so much time, and it costs $1.50. You get a $50 gift certificate when you sign up. So out of pocket, yeah, it's still $149 for the year, but it's the best information at all. And as much as you guys are going to hunt different states, it's good to find out, yeah, you can go here, you can have a restaurant here, here's places you can stay, here's access points, no honey holes, but here's the trends, and here's where the elk should be in these drainages, blah 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 blah. Expect will you see a 300 bull? No, but we see Pope and Young bulls, hell yeah. That's open, that's just off the counter stuff. The limited access is where you're going to see unit 2. It takes 22 years to get a tag. There's 350, 370 bulls in there. But
I mean,
good luck getting the tag.
We've run Go Hunt now for, I don't know how long it's been around, but we were on board with it. It wasn't a thing.
Well, you should have told me right away. Sorry.
Hey, you got that punch.
I got my plug in.
And I was just gonna say, anybody that's listening, I mean, we have a YouTube video that we explain like big game Western application, and I mean, we have almost no views on it at all. But to us, it was really informative because we figured it out years ago, and we got our shit off an Excel spreadsheet into Go Hunt. I mean, I'm talking hours and hours. Like this year, New Mexico, we picked, because with New Mexico, the way they draw, long story short, you get 3 shots at it, and we go cream of the crop, decent percentage chance of drawing unit. And without Go Hunt, we used to do this stuff through forums and websites and talking. And I mean, endless hours and hours and hours. And now, like, we're heading to Idaho. We just pull up all the units, and then we get back together and we go, what 5 units did you come up with? Where do you want to hunt? Which 5? Based on trophy versus population versus bull to cow. And then whichever 5 that we have, whichever one of those that we lay over, that's how we pick our unit. And this year, 3 of the 5 units we each picked, and I was like, well, that's one zone-ish. Let's pick one of those. And we just said, okay, cool. And now we've been scouting it. It's June 27th. We've been scouting it since February. We made our decision, and that's, like you said, that and Onyx. I don't know what we did without it before. It was a lot more of a pain in our butt. But Go Hunt we use even for our whitetail, tracking all of our whitetail. Do we have to draw in Kansas? Don't we? Blah blah blah. Our Excel spreadsheet sucked before this. It was not fun.
Well, I'm proud to say I was part of their success.
Pretty cool.
They're still good. Chris Porter and Brady Miller and the guys there, Lorenzo Sartini owns it, or is the president and stuff, and they're just all great guys. And if you ever meet them at shows, they're just like you and I. I mean, they're just super, super guys. So
yeah.
Shout out for GoHunt.com. Insider promo code WR gets you a $50 gift card in the Go Hunt gear shop.
Yeah, and I swear by it. We run it. It's a cornerstone to us. I mean, I look forward to meeting those guys. I know I will. It's just a matter of when. But they're just
great guys. I mean, they're like I said, they're no different than you and I. There's no reason why they would be. But anyway, so moving along. So you're 33. So 5 years ago, your one big thing that you know now. What do you wish you knew 5 years ago?
I go over that all the time because I actually sit out in the tree stand at times and I go, could you imagine my deer hunting success if I knew X when I was 20, if I could add all those years up? But I think, maybe someone like yourself, does that ever really stop? Or do you always feel like you're more knowledgeable than 5 or 10 years? You've probably never hit a wall, have you? You're always better than what you were? Yeah, I didn't figure. You should think in your head, no. But I feel like it's always.
Well, but you gotta. The thing is, UV light. Okay, I just talked to the guy that has a UV product that dampens the UV because at early light and late light, your camo will glow if they have blue thread in them, any kind of blue.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got UV light. So I didn't know that until a few years into it, and then I was hunting. Actually, I was hunting out west, and I had my blue jeans on, and it was dusk, it getting darker. Those suckers were glowing, and I went, "What the heck is that?"
Yeah,
because they had bleached or they had brighteners in the thing, and But then you take your wolves and how the guys hunted the Benoit brothers. I don't know if you ever read their books out of Maine. Yeah, the Benoit brothers. They wore wool clothing. Everybody in New England wore wool. All my elk hunting stuff is all wool for cold, not for archery. For late season, for late season, it's all wool. And see, wool doesn't have the same threads as our camo and stuff. So you start learning that and say, how did that affect it? And the times I've been sitting up in my black blank camo, and all of a sudden the deer busts me. I go, shit, and I don't care if it's carbon or I don't care what it is, but it was that low light thing, and the blue hues came in, which the deer can see readily. They see blues readily, and all of a sudden, gone, no interest. And I'm going, dang, I'm downwind, everything's set up. I was glowing.
Yeah.
Had to be.
I would say, for me, one of the things that I didn't not know, but one of the things that I now is like a primary focal point and or that I feel very good about is where and when and in what situations bucks are going to be bedding and moving to and from where, and calculating in temperature changes during the day. Because here in PA, even in Ohio, I hunt very hilly terrain. And I would say what I'm better at now, but new then, is correlating all that, meaning a primary dominant northwest wind on a day that it's going to go from 30 in the morning to 70 in the afternoon. Where and when are these buck going to be bedding, and how and why are they going to be moving? I feel like I'm getting down, not to a science, but really, really a lot better at it. And had I known it then, probably my success in the last 5 years would be better than what it is now. But it was a little bit of more me refining, or I should say taking that a little bit more serious than I did maybe when my 20s, my late teens. I would just bust in, full blown, go hunt. I have 2 days to hunt, great. And I just trudge right in. I know this is a bedding area. Kind of like you said, hopefully I catch something. I don't know if they're 5 miles away or a mile. Hopefully they're going to come running by, and it was a little bit more luck shot in the wind, whereas now it's a little bit more scientific. I would say that would be the thing that I've refined the best. Getting into an area or a knob where I know I'm going to find buck bedding if I go into it completely blind. Now, whether they bed there that day or not, I don't know, because as we know, buck move around and whatever pulls them here and there, food, whatever it happens to be. But I would say I can at least almost guarantee you by walking into areas, I could find us a buck bed on a knob that I would like to hunt or get near hunting to pin between him and feed. Now, the tough part around PA is how many hardwoods we have. And a lot of those knobs and those spots that I find have feed right on top of them. So they don't actually have to go anywhere. And they'll get onto these. We have predominant northwest winds, and they'll get onto these little benches and flats, and they never leave it. They don't have to. They don't have to go anywhere. You can't really hunt or kill a buck that does that until he slips up. So that's all situation dependent. But learning that, I think I got a lot better.
Now, on the ridges, where do they get their water? 'Cause they need water.
Nighttime. Nighttime. I've actually watched them nighttime, and I've actually watched them up on these ridges. I've seen the deer because of these. We've got huge red oaks, huge maples. I'm talking, you can get them. They're 4 feet in diameter. And I actually had a deer 2 years ago digging at the base of one down in the root system, and I didn't know what it was doing. I couldn't figure it out. I figured it was fishing out acorns. So I waltzed over to look, and there was actually a dampness to the fungus and the moss down at the base of the tree. And I'm pretty convinced it was actually digging down under there, and it was pulling moisture up out of the root system of this tree because we were in a really bad drought. I think that was 2 years ago. It might have been 3. But the water, that's one of the big things that's tough because certain areas we get into these hardwoods, I don't know that moving to it too much in the daytime because our creek bottoms dry up pretty fast when it hits fall season until we start getting snow. And they're hitting bodies of water like ponds, lakes, but they go so nocturnal from the pressure. To hunt one of them just doesn't. You could sit on it until you're dead, and you're not going to have a deer come down to it in the daytime. They just don't do it. They hit it at night. That's my opinion. That could be right. Wrong, but that's my opinion.
So you have to be the transition zone. If the bucks are staying up on the ridges because they got food and they got shelter, how are you going to hunt them because they're not moving?
Well, that's the thing is a lot of our woods, there's big transition lines, and you can get into like the ash and birch, but it's also a great area for bedding. And maybe you have, so I'm talking on a year where we have a mass production where there maybe is a set of hardwoods up on a big flat, wide open bench because we don't get a lot of undergrowth with our old growth. You can get into an oak bench or a maple bench, and it's, 100 yards every direction you can see plain as day. And the goal is finding the bedding that isn't in that mass production, getting that face of a hill on like a south-facing slope maybe where they're going to have to come down to it and get as close, tuck into that bedding as absolutely as close as I can physically get and quiet to where you're maybe going to creep them at that last minute before dark. Now, like you said, with rut, it changes everything. Just get into the corridors. But early season's very difficult hunting around here. Like this year, I think is going to be a huge mass production. I don't know yet. It seems like a shot in the dark. But if it is, I'm telling you, mineral sites dry. You don't see them hitting any mineral sites. They eat white oak acorns here like crack cocaine. They will find whichever ones are dropping and hitting the ground. Your odds are highest they're coming to those ones because it's like those deer know. It's crazy how they find it.
How do they know though? I just had a guy. He said, "I'll be on. White oaks are dropping, and the deer are 60 yards away, and my tree is dropping the same exact things, and they go over there, and then they leave that tree and come over to my tree. What's the magic? What's the magic?
I think it's the nutrients of the tree because some acorns are sweeter and some are bitter. And my uncle and his friends actually about 5-6 years ago kind of did a test run on this on their private land back where I grew up, and they picked 3 white oak trees in the spring to start liming, and they limed it all summer. And when that thing started producing in the fall, those trees were the first trees that every single deer ate, every single acorn that fell. And to that extent, what I thought was trees are just like any other plant. If you grow 3 tomato plants in your garden, one of them explodes, one does okay, and one dies, or maybe it barely hangs on. Why? Something in the soil, some type of nutrients. There was an absorption rate that was higher. Maybe the production of the acorn itself had a higher nutrient content. And all I can come up with, because this happened to me 2 years ago, me and my hunting partner both killed a whitetail in Ohio 6 days apart out of the same tree, to the buck eating from the same tree that was dropping, and the whole bench was dropping acorns, but they came to that tree. And all I can come up with is nutrients in the soil producing a better acorn. And like me or you, if you went to 5 buffets 5 nights in a row, you're going to rank them 1 to 5, and you don't forget why. You knew which one was better. Well, if you've ever watched them mill out through these benches, they'll cover 100 yards in 3 minutes eating, I think they just know, they taste it. One's bitter because they don't really like red oak and they won't eat black oak. Black oak's very bitter. And I think some of them are sweeter than others, and it just attracts them to that tree. And until it's done dropping, I mean, I've literally watched entire herds of doe stuck around one tree and just eat that white oak, and they don't move. They sit in a 10-foot circle right there, and you can hear them dropping all over the woods. So I think that maybe comes with experience, because I would assume odds are that tree the next year is going to produce sweet ones and so forth and so forth. But when they did that test with the lime on the trees, that to me told me that it's got to be something. Is that legal?
Can you do that?
Is that legal? On private?
Yeah.
I don't see why not. They did it pre-season. It wasn't baiting, and they were doing it in trees that they own on their property. All you're doing is helping the tree along. No different than planting a crop field or putting out mineral sites. And
duh. I'm thinking, okay, on private land, and you're going to pick out a tree set up for the right wind with your stand, and then you lime the tree, just like I lime my food plots.
That's what they did, and they stopped now because our acorns, they're done producing. They're dropping sometimes August, September, so they were done liming. In PA, you can't be baiting within 30 days of the season. So even let's consider it was considered baiting. They were done liming back in probably May or June.
But you can lime the same trees where your thing is to always get the same crop, drawing the same deer, just like a food plot.
Yeah, theoretically. And, I mean, if you're not doing it within 30 days and it's your property, no different than if you go out and you want to cut down your own tree, do whatever you want. So I don't see – and they're all very ethical, great bow hunters.
I get that.
I would assume, but now that you say it was illegal, hell, I don't know. I mean, I would have never thought anything of it, I guess. Maybe. I think it is.
I don't know.
See why not.
But I'm thinking it's a hell of a food plot. The tree's there. All you do is helping them along. And you want sweet acorns, if that's the reason, or the nutrients.
All three of them swear up and down on their entire life that these deer came directly to the trees that they did it to, like a beeline. Now, I don't think I've ever actually told anybody that story, so that's unfortunate.
Oh, no.
It works.
Thousands of people are going to hear it now.
If it works, but they swear on their lives by it. They swear it works, so I don't know.
That's just another tool, though. Yeah, we discovered another tool that people say, I don't know, the guy earlier tonight said they were over there and they weren't at my tree. And after they finished that, they came to the tree I was in. But if you could set that up like a food plot,
it might help. Or maybe in the area you're in, they're all so sweet it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know. Especially if you're in maybe an area where it's a lot of red oak that are bitter and they don't want to eat. I don't know. But I know it worked for them.
Yeah. It's just interesting. It's really interesting. We could go on all night, and we've been going probably 45 minutes. And so with what you know today, and, you're probably going to end up with the Super Slam, all North American 29 before you're done, because you're young enough.
I hope so.
No, nice. It isn't. I had Fred Eichler on, and he started a long time ago, and it took him a while. It took him to 2009 to get it done with his recurve. He just did it with his recurve bow, all of them.
I know.
And I've got, I've got a few of them. I don't think I have half. I was looking at it the other day. Anyway, the sheep is going to be the hardest thing for me. That's no question about that. But anyway, having said that, what would you say to people that ask you, and I sort of started this earlier, we're going to end it, about hunting and how it's changed your life. What would you say?
How it's changed my life. I think it constantly changes my life. Or I don't even want to say if it's constantly changed my life as much as it constantly keeps my life in check. I know it's made me, on a personal side, a more organized person, which I'm not. Very chaotically organized, because there's so much fine skill and refinement in hunting and planning it out. Because, as you know, I don't have all the days in the world. I've got to work. I work my butt off. I run multiple businesses. I'm running around like a crazy person. Everything's got to be checks and balances. Can I afford it? Can I do it? How do I make connections? But I would say that one of the biggest things that it's done changing my life, some of my closest relationships as we're speaking now have been made or compounded through hunting and being outdoors with that person. Because you get down to the core of somebody so fast, what they're about, what they stand for in life. When you're out in the middle of nowhere for 7 to 10 days, you really get to know somebody on a different level, I think. So I would say hasn't changed my life, but refined it in a better way for sure. Maybe more aware of, I guess, there's a lot bigger things in life. Little things aren't as important sometimes to me because I realize that life's so much bigger than what it is. Because if you go out onto a million acres of public land in the middle of nowhere, you realize that you are a speck in this world of gigantic everything. And there's a lot more to stuff in life than sweating things on it every day. So if anything, affecting my life, giving me more of maybe a day-to-day calming effect. So I can get over little stuff much easier. Like, whatever. I got to go to work tomorrow still, right? What's the difference? Great. The day was horrible. No water. There was a wreck on the parkway. I couldn't get home. Work was slow. Well, I got to be there tomorrow again anyways. Whatever. No big deal. So maybe letting stuff roll off your back a little bit better, but giving a little more discipline, I think would be a great thing to say as well.
Hey, have you read Steve Rinella's book, American Buffalo, In Search of an Icon?
I have, and I just had someone else suggest it, and I said,
you need to read it. You need to read it. The old guy's saying you need to read it.
That's what the other kid said. He was like, you should pick it up. Now, I'm a huge reader, but to be honest, I do tons and tons of like business, finance, economics reading, and I get into holes at night, and it'll be midnight. I don't do a lot of pleasure reading, and I've been saying forever I want to start, and that was a book someone said you got to read.
Just get it off Amazon Prime for $5.95 or $12.17 or whatever. It'll take you 3 days to read it, maybe. I read it like 2 days or something like that. But I think he was your age when he wrote it. I'm not quite sure.
I'll have to take a look. I'll get my hands on it.
You need to read it. I mean,
I'll get my hands on it.
Because you're going to go, holy, right. It'll help change you. No, it'll you don't need to fan the fire anymore, but it'll just throw gas on it.
Yeah. I love gas.
Pretty much.
My favorite work.
Brother, I gotta go. But
Absolutely.
call me when you hit Colorado. Email me, whatever. I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm hunting.
I'll call you prior to us coming out to give you a heads up as to where I'll be at and what's going on.
Yeah, because you're I don't so much rifle hunt, but bow hunting. I know a lot more about bow hunting in Colorado. So when you decide to bow hunt Colorado, let me know.
I will. We're building points aggressively fast, so I will.
But you just got screwed, you realize, this year because it was the $3 all in. That's going to change. My buddies at the Colorado Parks and Wildlife said they're modifying it, but
it made me
very screwed the pooch.
Yes, it did. It made us thicker than dogs because we've done the hard work to get to where we were at, and it just killed us. Which is also why I'm glad we have so many points in so many other places, so we can kind of jockey a little bit.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't good. And Guy Eastman, just go Google Guy Eastman, Colorado Point Explosion, and read. Guy did a great job on it. So just, I don't need to say anything more about it, but he did a great job. So go read it. Go read his articles.
Absolutely.
And with that, we are going to say adios. Any last words?
No, I appreciate it.
Hey, Joe Rogan's up next. And if you haven't heard Joe, you will, because he created the Hunting Buddy app. What's a Hunting Buddy app? Everybody knows there's a lot of apps out there to tell you where you've been, where you are, where you shot your deer, where your stands are, what order holes are, where topography is. But his carries it a little bit more different. And by that, I mean, he did it through a series of notes and figuring out just what he needed. And a friend of his built it, and then more people wanted it. And so Joe's going to just run you through the app and tell you about the app. But more than that, this is a story. This is a story about a New York City policeman that in the line of duty got permanently disabled from line of duty. He's able to hunt and such, but he got messed up, and then his dad went and got cancer and passed on, and they got a cabin up in New York where they haven't been back there. He and his brother are thinking about going back, but it's hard. the grieving process is hard. So this is a real
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.